Planet Vero Studios, brought to you by Evergreen Media, creating cohesive marketing campaigns. Evergreen Media in Vero Beach.
She is a beauty influencer from New York City who commands attention.
He is a lawyer born and raised in Florida who lays down the law.
And together they are
The Lady and the Law.
Here are your hosts of The Lady and the Law, Cindy Grossman and Mitchell Goldman.
And we're back to another show with the lady, Cindy Grossman, the law, Mitchell Goldman, and engineer, person in charge, Jesse. Thank you, Jesse, for always keeping us on the air and keeping us straight.
Well, thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
I'd like to be a part of it.
We enjoy having you. It's a lot of fun. And the fun today, we're having a special guest, Matt Monahan, one of my law partners. Matt and I have practiced together. We're still working to get it right, but we've practiced together for 25 years. Long time. Okay. Matt is a Florida resident as well, growing up in Merritt Island. He went to undergraduate at University of Central Florida. Matt also got his certification from University of Central Florida so he could be a CPA. He's a licensed CPA, practiced for a couple years. He also, of course, since he's a lawyer and we work together, he went to law school, and he tells me he graduated. No, I know he did. He graduated, he went to Florida State University. And as I said, we've been together about 25 years. So, long time.
Long time.
Long time.
Most marriages don't last that long anymore, so you're doing well.
No, that's a long marriage.
He only gets mad at me a few times.
Oh,
and I can tell when he's mad. I won't tell. I'll tell you off air how I know. It's not too often. And not usually mad at me.
It's usually outside forces, Mitch, that make,
yes, I know.
I was under a lot of stress, you know what I mean? Sometimes it just comes out, but now I'm much more relaxed. Things in my life are smoothed out.
Yes, fortunately for everybody. But no, all is good. All has been good. Now, what I wanted to talk with Matt about today, Matt's practice, he practices a lot in the corporate area. Of course, given his tax background, it makes a lot of sense. So, Matt, one of the questions that we always hear is, what is a corporation? And then what's this other thing called an LLC or a limited liability company? What's the difference? What are the similarities? What does the average business owner need? And how do you decide? So with that easy question, I'm going to turn it over to you and I'm going to listen.
Well, both the LLC and a corporation are forms of business entities under Florida law. And both of those entities are similar in that they offer what we call limited liability protection for the owners of the business. The owners of a business are called shareholders in a corporation, and the owners of the business are called the members in an LLC. Both are also similar in that both offer a passive form of investment for the owners. What that means is that in a corporation, you invest, you own shares, but somebody else runs the business for you. Okay, I own shares in Apple. I'm certainly not involved in Apple's affairs. Who does run the affairs for a business, a corporation? It's the board of directors. And the board of directors are elected by the shareholders, and the board of directors then hires officers. And so there's this representative form of management, almost like a democracy, that trickles its way down to the shareholders who have the final vote on things. An LLC is a little bit different in that an LLC, in addition to having that option of having a passive investor with a representative management, and an LLC is called a manager, LLCs can also be run by their own owners. In the situation, what we call member managed. And that's where the members or the owners of the LLC actually run the day-to-day activities of the LLC. And so that's one of the primary differences between the two. As far as which one do you choose, it's kind of been coming to standard practice that if you have an operating business, you own a coffee shop or something, that the corporation is the preferred form. And there's a lot of nuanced reasons for that. And if you have a piece of real property that you own and you're using for commercial purposes, you're renting it out, or you're using it for other commercial purposes, that the limited liability company seems to be the best form of entity to hold that real property. And again, there's a variety of reasons for that, but that's kind of been like the new standard is, real estate for LLCs and small operating businesses in corporations, large operating businesses in large corporations. You have the small corporation is what we call an S corporation, and the large corporation, like Apple, is a C corporation.
And those are tax designations, correct?
That is correct. The S corporation is a tax haven for small businesses. It's limited to a set number of shareholders. And if you are an S corporation, there's no corporate tax paid. All of the profits are allocated out to the shareholders in a pass-through tax situation. And so there's no corporate tax paid. All the profits of the business are just directly allocated to the shareholders, who then pay taxes based on the percentage ownership. In a C corporation, which is for much larger businesses, there is no tax haven like that. The C corporation is required to pay a corporate tax on all of its profits, and then the profits are distributed out to the shareholders, where they're taxed again as dividend income. So the large C corporation has double taxation on its profits, and the small S corporation is only taxed once at the shareholder level. So that's a key difference and really a key benefit for people who have a small business.
Matt, if someone was interested in setting up a corporation or an LLC, how difficult is it? What's involved? And what is involved on an annual basis to keep the corporation or the LLC current and in good standing and in compliance with, Florida law generally?
It's not that difficult to set up. I mean, I think each person should probably have a lawyer assist them with, forming the corporation or the LLC. There are filings that need to be done with the state of Florida. The state of Florida has to accept them and then recognize you as a business entity, either an LLC or a corporation. In addition to that, there are other formalities, so what we call the governance documents that need to be produced and executed by the parties in the corporation. The governance documents include bylaws, and in some cases a shareholder agreement. And in a limited liability company, the governance documents are what we call an operating agreement. Okay, and that's an agreement among the members where they agree on exactly how they're going to operate the company. As far as the annual upkeep, I recommend both limited liability companies and corporations, have an annual meeting each year, keep minutes of that meeting, where they elect the managers or directors. Both corporations and LLCs have to file an annual report with the state of Florida. And it's due on May 1st of each year. The state of Florida likes to keep track of the different business entities and what they're up to. You have to tell them if there's been a change in management or a change in address. And of course, you have to file your taxes each year for both entities on an annual basis.
And I think the state of Florida also likes to get $150 or $125, whatever it is, each year for each corporation or LLC. Matt, can you talk to us? I'm sorry. Can you also tell us about how the liability works, how corporations or LLCs, limited liability companies, shelter the investor from personal liability if something happens with that business entity?
Yes, both companies under the Florida statutes and under the common law shield the shareholders or the owners of the business from any kind of liability created by the business itself. So if for some reason someone has a lawsuit against the corporation or the limited liability company and they win that lawsuit and get a judgment, in general, they cannot collect that judgment from the shareholders or from the members of the LLC. their loss, risk of loss is limited to their investment in the company, and that judgment and that loss cannot get to the personal assets of the members.
So that's very important, because if you're engaging in commerce and something bad happens, you're driving a company car, something happened with the insurance, unfortunately somebody gets hurt, you may lose the investment in the business, but it's not going to impact directly your personal bank account. Mm-hmm. So that's the benefit of having a business arrangement that Matt's mentioned. So Matt, when we get back, let's talk about something that we're seeing a lot more of, and why we're seeing it, sales of businesses. Maybe a business that's a manufacturing business seems to be quite popular these days. People are selling family-owned businesses. Let's talk about that when we get back in a few minutes.
The law offices of Goldman, Monahan, Tucker, and Bettine is here to help you with your personal legal challenges, business needs, and real estate matters. Since 1984, we have assisted countless numbers of Florida individuals and businesses with their legal issues, from trusts and estates, wills, real estate, and civil or criminal litigation. We pride ourselves on maintaining lifelong client relationships and would appreciate the opportunity to assist you and your family as well. Please call 321-639-1320 for further information on the law offices of Goldman, Monahan, Tucker, and Bettine. I'm a non-attorney spokesman.
Create your restful retreat and save 50% now on all Tommy Bahama and Lexington Home during our winter sale and President's Day event now through February 28th at Sunshine Furniture. Sophisticated looks with a mix of contemporary, coastal, and Caribbean styles, Tommy Bahama Home offers everything you need for your personal paradise. At Sunshine Furniture, we have the largest selection of in-stock coastal and casual sofas, love seats, chairs, slipcover sofas, bedroom, dining, and occasional furniture from Four Seasons, Capri, Best, Barcalounger, Hooker, Universal, and more. We're the outdoor furniture experts and have anything you need for your patio or lanai, including a gallery of Lloyd Flanders, Berlin Garden, Woodard, Hollywood, Brown Jordan, Windward, and Kingsley Bate. Sunshine Furniture, 1295 US 1 in Vero Beach next to Planet Fitness. Family owned and operated since 1991. Visit our website at sunshinefurniturecasual.com and don't forget to visit our outlet and sales store directly across the street.
Sunshine Furniture. When you work at A&G Concrete Pools, you'll be swimming in benefits. A&G is hiring, and not only do they lead the industry in paying hard workers, they'll match your 401k, provide insurance, and offer paid vacation time. Stop looking for a job and dive into a new career. Switch to a supportive pool construction environment. A&G Concrete Pools would love to welcome you to the team. Time to lay the foundation for your long-term career. Apply online at A-N-G-Pools.com. A&G Concrete Pools.
Need an enlightening pick-me-up? Visit Kristen and Cindy at Skinergy to energize your skin and keep it looking fabulous forever. Kristen can help with hair removal, sugaring to keep your whole body smooth and conditioned. Kristen will help you refresh and defend your skin while giving you a customized facial. Cindy helps skinergize and get you camera ready for your everyday look or special occasion. Visit Kristen and Cindy at Skinergy. Find them on Facebook under the Skinergy Squad.
And we're back with Cindy and Matt and Jesse. So Matt, when we cut away for our commercial break, I teased the audience with the upcoming events about, well, let's say you want to sell your business. We're seeing a lot of interest and a lot of business sales that maybe we didn't see so many, a year or 2 years ago. But we're seeing a lot now. So, Matt, what do you think is the cause of that? What's triggering that? And how do you counsel clients that are looking to sell their business?
I think I've definitely seen a tremendous increase in business sales for family-owned businesses. And I think the cause is probably multiple factors. I think one factor is, during the pandemic and the shutdown, a lot of people, kind of decided to start working from home and got out of the workforce, and maybe they don't want to go back in. and they've kind of self-retired themselves. And so they're looking to sell their businesses. A second thing is that, a lot of the businesses were started and run over the last 20 or 30 or 40 years by baby boomers. And again, they're getting to that age now of retirement. Many of them getting to their late 60s and 70s where they're looking to retire from their small business and are looking to sell it. And then the final thing is the cash that's out there. There's a lot of money in private equity now. There's a lot of cash in the economy, and that was a result of the tremendous amount of money coming out of the government in the form of stimulus. And that money all ended up in private equity. The stock market is a little too volatile now for a lot of investors. And so that cash is looking for new places to go. And it seems to be finding its way to Florida through these private equity firms and buying out small businesses.
How do you counsel clients? So a client comes to you and says, "Oh, I have this offer for the sale of my business," and what's that conversation like?
I guess it really depends on how the offer came to them. I would prefer that people bring the offer to me, and is the offer coming to them through a broker, or is it coming to them directly from a buyer? Or is it coming to them from an attorney who represents a buyer? And then we can examine the offer and see if it's satisfactory to the client as the seller. The offer usually comes in the form of what's called a letter of intent. Okay, and that's usually the beginning of the process. That's assuming you've skipped over all the lunches and phone calls where everybody kind of flirts with each other, but the letter of intent is the beginning of the process where the terms for the potential business sale, the broad stroke terms are put on paper in writing, and they have a little more solidity. But one thing to remember about the letter of intent is it's not a binding contract. It never is. It's just a statement of terms that the parties are discussing, but it's not a contract. You can't enforce it in court.
So it's just an agreement that we'll try to agree.
Yes.
Okay. And how does the client or get a comfort level that the price is fair and a good offer? How do they determine that? They just know it?
There's two ways. There's two ways to do it, really. I think one way would be to have a professional third-party valuation of your business done. And that would be the smartest thing to do. Have a company, an investment banking group, there's one in Winter Park, Florida, that can come in and actually do a professional third-party valuation of your business so you have some idea of what the value of it is. A second way is to involve a broker and simply put the business up to market. And then see the broker will then have almost like an auction for your business, but they'll collect bids for your business, and then you can review all the bids and you'll get a really good idea of what your business is worth at that point, because the market speaks. The valuation is good, it's on paper, it's in a binder, but at the end of the day, your business is only worth what someone's willing to pay for it. And the best way to really find out what it's worth is to have several people bidding upon it. A little competition can be a good thing.
Now, Matt, if someone is interested in selling their business, is it an all cash? Not, you're getting cash literally, but at closing, do they get all the money they're entitled to? How are you seeing that come out? What kind of structures are you seeing for purchases?
That's a very good question. And I like to advise my clients to stick with an all cash deal, meaning they get paid the entire purchase price in full at the closing table. Now, one of the issues is that buyers a lot of times don't want to pay the entire amount of cash at the closing table. They like to hold a little bit of money back to give them some kind of security in the event that something goes wrong. They're going to use that money they've held back to offset any losses they incur, after the business has been purchased. I usually don't recommend any of those kind of situations for someone who's, retiring, especially. okay, because they're getting out of the industry, they're getting out of the business. It's time to be cashed out. But that holdback can take several forms. It can be one type of holdback would simply be a promissory note where they give you some cash at the closing table, and then they give you a promissory note for the remainder. And a promissory note's basically an IOU. We promise to pay you another $1 million over the next 10 years. That's one type of holdback. The second type of holdback is literally a sum of cash that's held back in some kind of an escrow. Okay. And that escrow account may be sitting in escrow for a year or two, and then you don't get that money until the escrow period expires. And the third kind of holdback is a holdback where it's called an earnout. And basically that's a situation where the buyer says, we're going to give you X amount for your business, provided that after we buy it, it meets certain goals or standards or criteria of earnings. And if we meet those earnings criteria, then we'll give you the remainder of the money for your business. And if it doesn't, you don't get it. And again, I don't like those earnout scenarios because it puts too much risk on the seller. I will tell you that if you don't have a lawyer represent you, I can 100% guarantee that if a buyer comes in from an investment group, a private equity group with lawyers, that their initial offer to you will have all three of those things. It will have an escrow, a promissory note, and an earnout.
And what is your response to those, Matt?
No.
No, just say no. Especially the earnout, because
that's so scary.
Of course, there's so many factors that are out of your control once you're not running the business. How do you know? Why should you be judged? It just doesn't seem fair. But the buyer, everything's negotiable. So, Matt, if anyone has any, I'm sorry.
I was going to say one of the things with those holdbacks is that when you're a seller, if you're not sophisticated with this stuff, you see all that money and they look, we're giving you $7 million. It looks like a lot of money until you really look at it hard and say, well, $2 million is an earnout, $2 million is an escrow, which is wide open, and $2 million is over a 20-year note that I may never get paid on. And so you're really walking away from the closing table with $1 million, even though it says 7.
And don't forget, you're paying taxes too.
Yes.
You're paying taxes on what you receive?
Yes.
Or everything?
No, what you receive.
Okay.
So if you don't receive it, you don't pay tax on it, and you don't pay tax until you receive it.
And the lawyer has the escrow account?
Yes.
Presumably.
Okay.
Some lawyer, probably not your lawyer.
Oh, okay.
So
I'll tell you one more type of holdback I've seen that I don't recommend, and I'm seeing this a lot recently, is they basically give you stock in the new owning entity. It's almost like a Jack and the Beanstalk kind of situation where you trade your beans for, your goose for beans. And now you've got stock in some entity that just bought your business with no ability to turn that stock into cash.
And it's not publicly traded. So, who knows what that's worth. So, Matt, thank you so much. If anyone has any questions, how do they get in touch with you?
If you have an interest in selling your business and you've received an LOI or you want to get involved with some kind of a broker, you can call my office and I'll be happy to discuss it with you. My number is 321-639-1320, extension 110.
Thank you, Matt. Have a good one. We really appreciate you
Great information.
appearing. Thank you.
Thank you.